Hello everybody. Today we will start a new section in our chapter 14, Interaction in Ecosystems. The section is Ecological Succession. So, what do we mean by ecological succession? Now, the key concept of this section is ecological succession is a process of change in the species that make up a community. So, it's a process of change for the better, change for life. Okay? Now, all ecosystems, guys, in nature, disasters are not something odd in nature. You've seen tsunamis, volcanoes, earthquakes. So it's not something strange in nature. Actually, it's a part of the equation of ecosystems and nature, disasters. Okay? But what comes after that is our focus today. What comes after that is a process we call it succession. Let's hear it together.
Succession. The replacement of one type of community by another at a single location over a period of time.
Good. So, succession is the sequence of biotic changes. Do you remember biotic and abiotic factors? Biotic factors or living factors. So, it's the sequence of biotic changes that regenerate a damaged community or create a community in previously uninhabited area. So, here the succession, generally speaking, it's a chain of events, biotic events, okay, that cause regeneration of damaged community. For example, a volcano hit lava, moved through forests. Many species devastated by that, by this disaster. Then, after a while, after a number of years, maybe tens, maybe hundreds, I don't know. It's how the nature, okay, how the natural process goes. So after, let's say, a period of time, okay, so the damaged community, in our example, let's say wolves, will be regenerated, okay, or create a new communities in previously uninhabited areas because these wolves moved from this forest to the next forest. Okay, we will explain that further on today. So the succession is a process of change, biotic change. Okay, now, for example, here in our session today, the book gave us very amazing example. The Hawaiian Islands, okay? The Hawaiian Islands, guys, began to form more than 70 million years ago, okay? Over time, volcanic eruption, such the one we are seeing here in the picture, this picture, of course, you know, guys, Hawaii, pronounced Hawaii, and this place or population, basically it's volcanoes. It's volcanoes over volcanoes that formed 70 million years ago. Okay, now created these volcano eruptions, created the Hawaiian Islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Eventually, the bare volcanic rock began to break down into soil. You see the rocks here, broken down into soil, very fertile soil, by the way. Okay, which provided place for plants to grow. Here are the first stage of succession. You are witnessing here the first stage of succession from this scary situation, scary environment to this more relaxed, lively picture. Now, as time passed, the process of succession created unique tropical ecosystems. Succession from bare rock to such highly diverse vegetation takes a great deal of time. It's not 1 years, 1, 2, 3, 4, may take tens, hundreds, even thousands of years. Good. Now, succession, guys, has two types: primary succession and secondary succession. So, let's start primary succession. Well, primary succession, guys, is the
Primary succession. Establishment and development of an ecosystem in an area that was previously uninhabited.
So the key point here is previously uninhabited. This is very important, guys. Uninhabited. So the primary succession is the establishment and development of an ecosystem in an area that was previously uninhabited. Good. So the first organism in this previously uninhabited area, the first species or organisms that inhabit this area, we call them pioneer species.
Pioneer species. A species that colonizes an uninhabited area and that starts an ecological cycle in which many other species become established.
Good. So the pioneer species, these are the first organisms that live in a previously uninhabited area. So with primary succession comes pioneer species. Always, guys, primary succession, pioneer species. These are tightly linked together. Now, example of that. Now, the process of primary succession, which is illustrated here, I will explain these on our figure. Now, the bare rock exposed by retreating glacier or created when lava cools, wind, rain, ice begin to break down the surface of the rock, forming cracks and breaking the rock into smaller pieces. So smaller pieces. Then look, between 0 and 15 years, moss, lichens, grass will start to form because the rocks now converted to soil or something looks like soil, resemble the soil in structure, but the same nutrient. So vegetation may grow. Now, the second, between 15 and 80 years, so shrubs, cottonwoods, alder thicket. Here, guys, will start like a lush green. Shrubs, no certain like regular forest, regular organized forests or vegetation. No, it's shrubs. It's general. Okay, lichen and moss spores are blown in by wind. As they grow, they break up the rock further. When they die, their remain mixes with the rock pieces to form thin layer of soil. Okay, the soil then will make the shrubs grow. Between 80 and 115 years, okay, transition to forest. These are now forest. After about 115 years, okay, over time, seeds are blown into area or are dropped by birds because birds, feeding on seeds. Flowers and hardy shrubs grew from these seeds. These new plants provide a habitat for small animals. Now, as the soil continues to grow, thicker, small trees take root and different animals move into the area. Now, different trees then, species take root in the shade, and eventually replace the original trees, which need direct sunlight to thrive. And here now, guys, we are witnessing the formation of a whole forest ecosystem in this example. So let's tie things up together. So a volcano erupt. This is a natural disaster, destroyed everything in its path. Now we have a succession, not any succession, primary succession. So in the year passing, the rocks, the volcanic rocks will will crack down, will be broken down and turn into soil. This soil will like into these cracks with the rain and the humidity, the moss and lichens will grow. Well, after 15 to 80 years, we'll witness a shrubs, small shrubs, that the pioneer species here will be small animals, okay, like beavers, like let's say not squirrels, like species of mice, these types of animals, okay, small animals that can live in shrubs like foxes, rabbits. Now after 100 to 115 years, we'll witness a transformation, small transformation, like forming a beginning of the forest, Well, after 200 years, we'll witness a full ecosystem, full forest, that the trees that facing the sun are growing, and beneath, in the shade, in the humidity, we'll witness a new types of plants, new species of plants. So we'll have a new diverse ecosystem. Some animals that prefer living in the trees, like the squirrel. Some animals prefer to walk the ground like rabbits, foxes, wolves, bears, and etc. So the first species to live in this ecosystem will be a pioneer species. Okay, now the secondary succession. What is the secondary succession? Good. Secondary succession, guys, is
Secondary succession. Reestablishment of a damaged ecosystem in an area where the soil was left intact.
good. So the secondary succession does not always begin from bedrock. No, it can. It's a re-establishment of a damaged ecosystem. But the most important thing, the soil left intact. So the soil is not damaged. Okay? So let's think about this together, guys. Well, what ecosystems you think are destroyed? A full strong example comes to the mind, the pollution, okay, pollution of humans to the forests, or as the picture here show us, a fire in the forest, okay. The fire will destroy the whole forest but leave the soil intact. So in 0 to 2 years, we'll witness weed, grass to regrow. 2 to 18 years, grass, shrubs, pine seedings. 18 to 70 years, we'll see the pine forestation of the area. Okay, 70 to 100 years, oak, and full recovery of the ecosystems. Because with each stage, a new species will come and live here. Okay, so another example we can give quick, another example is our pollution to the ecosystem, to the environment. If we stop the pollution, then the environment will recover. This is secondary succession. I want to show you guys a quick video summarizing the whole section.
Our world is constantly changing. New islands are being created. Fires burn in forests. Volcanoes explode and destroy areas. Nothing remains the same, and habitats are constantly changing. Ecological succession is a process by which an ecological community undergoes changes following a disturbance or the initial colonization of a new habitat. For example, the islands of Hawaii were formed from volcanic activity. From their fiery start, over time they became tropical islands. There are two main types of succession: primary and secondary. Primary succession occurs in new areas that have little or no soil. In other words, the area has been almost completely destroyed or is newly formed. For example, new islands can be created from lava flows. The lava creates a new land without soil. A volcano may destroy a very large area. This would be an example of primary succession. Over time, dirt is formed, plants begin to grow, and a forest or a grassland may return. The first species that colonized this new land is called the pioneer species. Lichen and moss are many times pioneer species. Secondary succession occurs when an existing ecosystem has been destroyed or disturbed. They are more minor in magnitude compared to a primary succession. For example, a forest fire may destroy a large area of trees and plants, or flooding can destroy an area. In this before and after picture, the fire destroys plants, but the soil remains. 2 years later, the forest has grown back. Here's how secondary succession may occur. Fire destroys plant growth. The fire leaves behind empty but not destroyed soil. Grasses and other plants grow back first. Small bushes and trees begin to colonize the area. Next, fast-growing evergreen trees develop to their fullest, while shade-tolerant trees develop underneath. Eventually, larger deciduous trees will grow over them, and the ecosystem is similar but different from where it began. These disturbances can actually be healthy for an area over time because they can lead to increased biodiversity. Controlled burns are practiced by many park services. The fires help manage weeds and other growth and helps to reduce the risk of wildfires, but it can also help destroy nutrients and lead to more desirable plant growth in the future. If you'd like to know more about succession, this playlist will help. And as always, thanks for watching, and Moo Moo Math uploads a new math